and we went crazy. We went berserk. Listen, the band was jamming. I was jamming. We were all jumping up and down, hugging, high fiving. We were the Black College National Champions, much like we were in 1994 when I was at South Carolina State University. And so it felt good to win another national champion. Winning the conference is one thing, but winning the national championship, that means you're the best in Black college football, period. And I did that my junior year at South Carolina State University. And to see these kids do it here in the A under those circumstances and win a game 40-38 in sudden death. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Again, this is the 12 Kyle podcast. Shout out to those of you who are watching on YouTube as well as Spotify. Man, check this out. I have one simple question for you. Who had a better week than me? This past week was incredible. I had several things that happened to me, and I'm going to get into it in this podcast. I'll try not to be long-winded, but it's a lot of stuff to cover, so let's get right to it. As many of you know, maybe you don't know, your boy turned 53 last week. It's okay. You can clap. It was a beautiful birthday. I gotta say it again. Thank you for all of the text messages, the phone calls, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, Instagram posts. You guys really made me feel great as always. I normally, at least over the last couple of years, have managed to take a vacation or take a trip out of town for my birthday, but I didn't do it this year, and for good reason. And I'll get into that in just a few minutes. And last year, if you follow me, you know I was in LA hanging out with the homies, Britt Renee, Uncle Dolomite, Baylor. But I did make it to LA this year, for good reason, for my birthday. But nonetheless, it was a beautiful day, surrounded by my family. Got a phone call from my mom. My mom normally calls me at like midnight when the clock strikes for December 9th because I was born December 9th, 1972. She didn't call me at midnight. She called me that morning. Talked to my dad, my brother, got a text from my sister. Of course, my kids shouted me out. And my wife, Sharice, took me out to dinner. Very, very nice dinner. She surprised me because she took, well, not a surprise, but the place where we went. I'd never heard of this place here in Metro Atlanta. And really, really nice spot. I will definitely go back there again. Had me a nice Delmonico steak. Oh my gosh, that steak was exquisite. But the birthday was cool, man. I had plans to go to Top Golf just on a little solo mission for lunch, but it was kind of cold. So even though Top Golf has those heaters and stuff like that, I mean, swinging a golf club in 30-degree weather really ain't the move. So I said I'd do it some other time. So that's something I'll do later. But again, I was thankful for the birthday. Again, I appreciate all the birthday shout outs and birthday wishes. You guys are great. It's interesting because for me, and I think I've talked about this before, but like growing up with my birthday being so close to Christmas, like I was always just kind of taught like your birthday was an individual thing. Like, while I was always celebrated and I had birthday parties, I was just, my birthday was always something that I just did for me. So it was a time for me to celebrate myself and enjoy myself and do something that I wanted to do for my birthday. And I didn't really care to share my birthday with anybody else. And as I've gotten older, with technology and everything, and now with, social media, because now people will know when your birthday is, obviously tell them. I've come to grips with being able to accept that level of appreciation from a lot of people. Um, and it doesn't go unnoticed. It's taking me some time to get used to the whole Facebook thing because those notifications are going crazy, like on the day of your birthday. But again, I appreciate all the love, um, and I think I said that enough on social media. But again, I wanted to say it here. But I had a great birthday. December 9th always goes down for me as a time for reflection and a time to have a good time, and I did both. So I'm very thankful for that, and most importantly, thankful to God for allowing me to see another year. And God willing, we're gonna see 53 more. You know what I'm saying? Um, then the next day, December 10th, is also a very special day for me. It is a special day because on December 10th, our youngest son, Brandon, celebrated his birthday. Now, this year, Brandon turned 19 years old. At the time of this recording, he is a freshman in college. And so, what was interesting was I asked him, I said, well, hey, what are you doing for your birthday? And he said, Dad, I have to take a final, a final exam. And I busted out laughing because my freshman year, too, I had to take 3 final exams at college my freshman year at South Carolina State University. So I told him, I said, hey, just be lucky it's only one, but he was a little I don't want to say he was upset. He was just a little um maybe a little disappointed that he couldn't turn up. But I told him, I say, hey, when your birthday's over, you can turn up all you want. But let's focus on those grades first. And he did that. But it's always great. I mean, and it's hard to believe. I mean, 19 years ago, I got the greatest birthday gift ever. I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a part of me that wanted to have Brandon on my birthday, but it didn't happen. And I'm kind of glad that it didn't because he gets to have his own day. But I distinctly remember it. Sharice and I were at dinner at Capitol Grill. And we were at Capitol Grill in Buckhead, and she started having contractions like midway through dinner. And the contractions started getting kind of strong. And the waiter was like, oh my, he saw the look on her face. He's like, oh my God, do you need some help? Do you want to, take a to-go bag? And I was like, no. I said, we've been here before. Brandon wasn't our first child. He was the third boy. So, and our third child. So it wasn't like, it was time to panic or anything like that. But very thankful for him and his 2 brothers and his sister. We have a total of 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl, and they are my world. They truly are a blessing from God. So I love their birthdays because it gives us a chance to celebrate them, and I always wanted them to feel really, really good and really special on their birthday. So that was dope. Even though with him being in school, he was gonna be here the next day. So we had a day to wait before we could actually celebrate him, but it was all good. It was all good. It was all good. So that was the second thing that happened. Um, the third event was an event that really, really warmed my heart and my spirit and my soul. Uh, my better half, my wife Sharice, earned her doctoral degree from the University of Georgia. She has a doctorate now in higher education. Um, what can I say? We knew this day was coming, and that was part of the reason why I couldn't go to LA for my birthday because obviously there was no way I was going to miss this. But I am extremely proud of Sharice. She started this. Most doctoral programs are 2, sometimes 3 years, sometimes 4. But she started this doctoral program, I want to say January of 2024, at the University of Georgia. And it was interesting because there was someone at work that recommended that she, dip her foot in this pool, if you will. And I remember when she brought the idea to me, and this is, kind of like a testament to our friendship, is that uh she brought it to me and she was like, "Do you think I could do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know you could do it if that's something you want to do." Because, like, here's the thing. Sharice has always been someone who has defied the odds. And so she's someone who has always been able to rise above any negative circumstance or any obstacles. And so I just told her, I said, "Look, like, you know, if this is what you want to do, I got your back 1,000%." And so she decided to enroll in the program. It was great because it didn't cost us any money for her to do it. But the program, like I said, is a doctoral program at the University of Georgia. And let me read to you what the program is about, because I think that was the thing that really impressed me as far as the rigors of what the program would entail. The program is like I said, it's at the University of Georgia. It's the Louise McBee Institute of Higher Education. And it says here, the Louise McBee Institute of Higher Education is an academic unit of the University of Georgia committed to advancing higher education policy, management, and leadership through research, graduate education, and outreach. The McBee's institution mission encompasses higher education at the campus, state, national, and international level. We are noted for our multidisciplinary approach to graduate education and research, with areas of specialization in federal and state policy, governance and administration, institutional and system finance, faculty careers and development, institutional research, assessment, knowledge and development, and exchange. And so it's a really, really tough program. It's not an easy program to get into. The way it works was that she would be in class. First, she started off at the where she would be on the campus of the University of Georgia, which is in Athens, Georgia. And Athens, Georgia is probably maybe about 50 miles from our house here in Atlanta. But she would go to class once a month from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and she would return home. She'd be done with class probably like 1:00 on Sunday. So that's a lot to give up, and very, very intense as well. But she did it, and she did it from, like I said, January 2024 up until, completing her dissertation or defending her dissertation last month at the time of this recording. And so, I was beyond impressed. I mean, like, even part of the curriculum, they also had to study abroad as well as locally, or nationally, I should say. One of the parts of her program where they had to study abroad was that she went to the Netherlands for for the better part of 2 weeks and studied abroad in the Netherlands, and then also had to cover some federal and state policy in Washington, D.C. She was in D.C. for a week. So having to travel, having to, complete this program, it's not easy. And you still have to go to work and you still have to make time to study, and you still have, your social events that you want to participate in. And you also have, 4 kids and a husband. And she did it, man. I'll be honest, I don't know how she did it. But I was amazed. Well, not really amazed, because here's the thing. She does things that most people can't do, and most people will complain about doing. And she does it. I don't know how she juggles it all. My aunt calls Sharice her shero. And I think that is very, very fitting for who she is as a person. Now, I knew that, given the fact that she was going to be in class, getting this doctoral degree, that things were going to change around our household. So a lot more was going to fall on me as far as things to do. And me and the homie Baylor talk about it all the time. Like, And I'll never forget, I was on the phone with him, and I told Baylor that Sharice was going, to class that particular weekend. And Baylor said it best. He said, "Hey, man," he said, "Hey, you got to go get a triple double this weekend." And what he meant by that is like, as a father, because my wife was going to be gone for 4 days, like that I have to pick up all the slack. So wherever, if that meant picking the kids up from school or taking them wherever they needed to go with their activities, cooking, cleaning, all of that stuff. And it's stuff that I do, but more of it falls on you per se when it's just you. And so it was a challenge for me as well. But it honestly, n- I can't say it wasn't a challenge. It was a challenge, but I think what happens is that we get so used to being in our grooves that I got used to being in that groove, once a month. And then we have a family calendar, so I knew when, her classes were going to be and everything like that. So it worked itself out. And it all culminated in her, writing her dissertation, and writing and defending her dissertation, because that was two things in and of itself. And I mean, like, she's having me read it and proofread it, and I'm like, look, I'm not. I am good with editing things, but I'm not. I mean, of course, she had an editor as well, but um, just being able to read what she wrote and to have the discipline, because trust me, there were times where she would come home from work and she'd be sitting at the table, and then she's like, okay, well, hey, I'm going to go take me a nap, and I'll wake up in about 2 hours and I'll get some more work done. And sometimes she'd wake up from that nap, and the nap on the couch, and she'd go upstairs and get into bed. And it wouldn't be, anything else, but she made it work. She made it work. And like I said, it all culminated in her graduating at the University of Georgia this past Friday at the time of this recording. And so the whole family, we go over to Athens, and there was a brunch Friday morning with the people from her department. Got a chance to meet the other people in her class who were becoming doctors as well. Some of her professors, well, met her master professor, and just some very important dignitaries in that particular unit of the University of Georgia. And then it came time for graduation, and it was great because not only were was our family there, her parents were there, her brother, her niece, or our niece, her line sisters and sorority sisters from Delta Sigma Theta, her BFF, Dr. Jamel, and a host of other family and friends. And it was really special. It was really, really special. The thing that stood out to me was when she entered the Coliseum, there was a look and a glow on her face. She was smiling from ear to ear, and I don't think she stopped smiling the whole time. Like, she was just that happy to be in there because of knowing what she had accomplished, that she was now a doctor of education. And I watched my kids look at her, look at their mom, and they were so excited, and you could see the joy and the pride in their eyes. And it meant a lot because, again, it wasn't easy, but then again, it's not supposed to be easy. And that's one of the things that I told her. And just watching her accomplish that goal, was very inspiring and it was very important for our family because she's the first doctor. Now, hopefully she won't be the last, but she's the first doctor in the family. And not only was there a level of joy, but there was a level of pride and a sense of accomplishment. But I also was just so happy for her because I saw her put in the work. And when you see somebody that you love and you care about work hard and achieve their goals, it makes you feel good. And so subsequently, it was just a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day, and it's a day that we'll never forget in our family. Obviously, for her career, this puts her in another stratosphere as far as where she wants to go and what she wants to do. And we're gonna be right there to support her the whole time. And again, she always says, like, what she does is for our family, for our kids. And I couldn't agree more, because I know that's why I do what I do, for the kids and our family. And it was a great time at the ceremony. We got a chance to see her get hooded, and after graduation, we came back to Atlanta, where we had a venue where we had a small reception with the same friends and family, and some who did not make it to the graduation. Um, and so that was really, really dope. That was really, really dope. And she before the night ended, she got a chance to talk to the people that were there, and she said, her feelings and her emotions about this accomplishment. She asked me to toast her, and so I did with some water. I'll share with you guys what I said in the toast. I just talked about being able to dream, and I encouraged our kids to dream and never stop dreaming, because this was a dream of Sharice's. And subsequently, her dream became a reality, but it was also a dream of mine, because my dream is her dream. And, I teased her because, like, the first day of class, the very first day of class, she drives to Athens, and she's there, and she gets ready to get out of the car, getting ready to go to class. And she's there early, and she realizes that she's left her computer here. Well, guess what? You don't have a computer, so how are you going to do your work? Well, your boy 12 Kyle had no choice but to get in the car, drive an hour and a half to Athens and an hour and a half back, just to make sure that she was straight. And she didn't miss any time from class or anything like that. But one of the things that I'll never forget is that look on her face when I pulled up. It was just a look of relief. And, I wanted to assure her that, because she was kind of freaking out and everything, I just wanted to assure her that it's going to be okay. Like, this ain't a bad sign. This ain't nothing. It's going to be okay. And I think that's what we should do for each other, as friends, as husbands and wives, as soulmates. Um, but yeah, it felt good to do that for her. And I mentioned that in the toast, like, just to keep dreaming. And I want everybody to keep dreaming. You don't know where you can go, and there's no limitations on where you can go. All you got to do is put your mind to it. And I'll be honest, like, there were people. I don't necessarily know if they were, in her inner circle or what have you, but I do remember, because we met on the campus of South Carolina State University. Uh, I do remember her telling me when I first met her, like, there were people who told her that maybe, or at least suggested that maybe she shouldn't even go to college, because she was the first in her family to go to college. Right. And to go from that, to go from Compton, California, to Andrews, South Carolina, to South Carolina State, to, becoming a doctor. I mean, you couldn't write a better script. And the thing I just try to convey to people is that, and more specifically to our kids, is to never stop dreaming, and don't ever let anybody tell you what you can't do. As long as you believe that you can, that's all that matters, because can't nobody tell you how to be you, and can't anybody tell you what you can't be, because you can be anything that you want to be, and your mom is a living proof of that. So it felt great to celebrate her. It felt great to see her. And like I said, she was smiling from the time she walked into that arena until the time she walked out of it. And I'll be honest, because we took separate cars, she may have smiled all the way back to Atlanta. I'm not sure. And right now it's time for a commercial break. On the other side of the break, I'll tell you something else that went down that made me have a great week. Sit tight. We'll be back in just a second. And just like that, we are back. Once again, it's your boy 12 Kyle, and I'm talking about the best week ever. Again, the question I have for you: who had a better week than me? All right. So we got the birthdays, my birthday, Brandon's birthday. Sharice becomes a doctor. And now we got a game to go to. That's right. As many of you know, I am a proud alum of South Carolina State University. And this past weekend, we were playing in the Celebration Bowl. The Celebration Bowl is the Black College Super Bowl. We were going to be facing off against the winners from the Southwestern Athletic Conference, that is also called the SWAC, and that would be the Prairie View Panthers. I think Prairie View came in with a record of 9-3, I think, or may have been 10-3. Yeah, I think it was 10-3, and we came in with a record of 9-3. And we won our conference, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, or the MEAC. And, you know, it felt good for us to win the conference. It felt good for us to come back and be playing in Atlanta. But it was also a reminder that we just 1 year ago, we were in the same position. As many of you know, and I did an episode about it, I actually cut short my trip to California last year because we were playing in the Celebration Bowl against Jackson State. And as many of you know, we did not play well at all. We did not win the game. We lost 28-7, I think. But I'll be honest, the score wasn't even that close, to be honest. The game wasn't that close. But, you know, this was going to be a new year and a new thing for us. So first things first, when we left the reception, we had to go check into we got a hotel room downtown because it makes no sense to be back and forth between your house and downtown because everything that's cracking, and the city was cracking. There's no reason to be at your house unless you live in the city. Now, I don't live in the city, and I don't live too far from the city, but it's at the same time, it's easy to be at a hotel or whatever like that. So we were at the hotel and we checked in, and it's interesting because Sharice and I checked into the hotel and we were at the Marriott Marquis. And I'm thinking, because again, Friday's been a long day. We celebrated. We had a great time. I'm thinking, okay, well, we're just going to crash, just go to sleep. She was like, hey, do you want to go downstairs and see what's cracking? And I was like, okay. And so we went downstairs, met up with my brother, my sister-in-law, and we hung out for a little bit, kind of kicked it. We went over to the Hyatt, which was the host hotel, and which is adjacent to the Marriott Marquis, and kicked it over there with a bunch of alumni. And we were out for maybe about an hour or so, and then we took it on in. Now, here's the thing. When Saturday rolls around, I'd already told Sharice, like, look, I'm going to the game early. I said, well, what time are you going to the game? She was like, well, we're going to leave at, 10 or 11 or something like that. Game kicked off at 12. It's an early kickoff because, the game is on ABC. So personally, I wanted to get to the game at 10 o'clock. I know what you're thinking. Why do you want to be at the game so early? There's a method to the madness, but I'll just explain it like this. Like, having played football, having played for South Carolina State University, having worn the number 12, game day just feels different to me. So in a lot of ways, it feels like I'm playing. And so there's a level of excitement, but there's also a level of anxiety. And I'm not an anxiety type person, but I had to get to the stadium early. I don't want anything standing in my way. So I was like, I want to get to the stadium early, get something to eat, sit down, chill, maybe go to a suite or whatever. But if not, because I know a couple of people had suites. I didn't want to sit in the suite. But I wanted to, get there and chill before the nerves built up for the game. And I also knew I could kind of walk around or see. I knew I was going to see some of my friends, a lot of my teammates. So we were down on the field level at Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the game is being played. and ran into some of my teammates and stuff. We chopped it up, took pictures and stuff like that, just hanging out, just kicking it. And so, like, that was the calm before the storm. But I like to be at the game early. I didn't want to. I mean, my wife we were sitting together, so I was going to see her, but I didn't want to take the chance of, um, just I didn't want anything to slow me down. So I called an Uber to the stadium. The gates were supposed to open at 10. I literally got out of the Uber at 9:55 and was standing in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium waiting on the gates to open up. And in typical fashion, sometimes black folk ain't on time. Well, I can't even blame it on black folks, because here's the thing. Security was there and the gates were ready to be open, but for whatever reason, they didn't open them. So the gates didn't open up until 10:20. And I was one of the first people to walk in. And I just went and just chilled, took a picture, and just chilled. But then again, even in saying all of that, there's still some uneasiness, because there's the butterflies. There's the, okay, what can we do? What will we do? I wasn't so much as worried about last year's game, because last year's game, we just didn't play well. I think when I look back at, and I mentioned this on the podcast last year, I think looking back on it, I think we came in a little too high. I think we were kind of feeling ourselves, and we thought that if we just, we were big bad South Carolina State University. We show up, we're going to win. And football don't work like that. And Jackson State punched us in the mouth and punched us in the mouth and punched us in the mouth, and we never fought back. And so I didn't have to worry about us playing like that again. And the reason being is because there's a lot of kids that played on that team last year that were playing on this team this year, albeit in different roles. But I think what happens is that when you get beat like that, on that type of stage, you don't forget, and you promise yourself that you'll be damned if you allow it to happen again. And so I had not seen Prairie View at all this year. I saw them play in the SWAC championship game, ironically against Jackson State, and they look really good. They look really, really dominant. The thing that I took away from that was, I said, hey, and I told everybody, if we play our game, we'll be fine. We'll win. We're not going to blow them out, but we'll be able to wear them down if we play our game. But we have to play mistake-free football, and we got to just go out there and have some fun and make some plays, which is something we've done all year. I mean, again, the team was 9-3, and we looked shaky at times this year, but we were on an 8-game winning streak. So, there was nothing I don't think that was going to stand in our way. The game starts. The fans are filling in. Bands are in. Everybody's playing. We got a national TV audience. I sit down in my seat, and the game starts. And we looked a little rusty at first. I ain't gonna lie. And it was like, it's almost like a championship fight. Both guys are trying to feel each other out. And then Prairie View scored. And then they scored again. And then they scored again. And I look up, and we're down 21-0. And again, this game is on national TV. So the homie King Germ from Pod and Saved Our Marriage, shout out to Germ. Germ texted me, and my only response was, we're in trouble. Because we couldn't figure it out. On defense, it looked like we were just out of place on some things. And they were making plays. Like, they were getting what we call chunk plays. And we couldn't figure out where the guys were coming from or where they were supposed to be. And on offense, we couldn't get anything going. Our quarterback, Billy Atkins, who, had a great season. He was struggling. He was not completing any passes. He tried to run a couple of times, and he's not much of a runner. And they bottled him up pretty good. And so, like, it was being down 21-0. I mean, like, I couldn't even say like I felt like I did last year, because last year you could just tell like Jackson State was just on a mission. They were determined to beat us because we had beaten them a couple of times. And I forgot, I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but this was our third trip to the Celebration Bowl in the last 5 years. So under different coaches, but last year's coach was our current head coach, Chennis Berry, who is in his second season. So he's coached the South Carolina State Bulldogs for 2 seasons, and he's gone to back-to-back Celebration Bowls, and has not lost a conference game as the head coach at South Carolina State. So we had a lot of stuff going for us, a lot of momentum. They did too. And so again, you look up and it's 21-0, right? And so then it's like right before halftime, and you see the quarterback Atkins. He got tackled, and it's interesting because after he got tackled, we had to punt the ball. And I remember the homie Brock was sitting in front of us, and Brock turned around and he said, "Hey man, we need to put Stubblefield in the game." And I was like, "Are you sure? Like, why would we put Stubblefield in the game?" And Stubblefield is the backup quarterback kid by the name of Ryan Stubblefield. Ryan Stubblefield actually played on last year's team. He was the backup last year to our starting quarterback, Eric Phoenix, who was the conference player of the year. What was interesting was, and I mentioned it on last year's podcast, was that Eric Phoenix came into last year's Celebration Bowl with a high ankle sprain, and he had not gotten a lot of reps leading up to the Celebration Bowl. It's no excuse. Jackson State was the better team, and you got to tip your hat to him. But that was the thing that was going on. And Stubblefield did play in the Celebration Bowl. Didn't play that well, but he came in like mop-up duty. He came into the season as the starter, but Coach Chennis Berry was shuffling back and forth between Stubblefield and Atkins. And I think it was it the A&T game? I think we were playing against North Carolina A&T. Ryan Stubblefield struggled mightily. Billy Atkins came in and took over, and we won the game. We came from down. We were behind against North Carolina A&T, which should have never happened, but that's another story for another day. And so, Stubblefield's in the game. And at first, I thought that maybe they had benched Atkins. But what we found out later, because we saw Atkins on the sideline with his arm, and it was his right arm, which is his throwing arm, in a sling. He was injured, I think, on the last play, a couple of plays right before halftime. And so now we've got Stubblefield in the game, and, you just got to roll with Stubblefield. And the thing that was interesting about Ryan Stubblefield when he got in the game was that I recognized that he had a little bounce to him. He had a little, oomph, if you will. And I think that's because he had not played. He'd been in on a couple of situation plays, but for the most part, he had not played since mid-October, or maybe before then. So he hadn't played in quite a few games. But the thing is that you always have to be ready. As a backup, you're only a shoulder injury or a twisted ankle or a blown knee away from getting in the game. And Stubblefield came in the game and he started lighting it up. But the thing that the turning point in this particular game was, we were talking at halftime, and I told Brock and I told my boy Stahl, who was sitting next to me, I said, we're going to get the ball in the second half, to start the second half. We have to score on our first drive. Like we can't have any wasted possessions. And so we come out 3 and out. So it's looking grim. Prairie View gets the ball back and they hit a couple of first downs. And then I think on the second or third play, they try to run a reverse, right? And the reverse gets jammed up in the backfield. The running back who's trying to hand it off to the receiver fumbles the ball. We recover it, pick it up, run it to like the 5-yard line. And it was at that moment that you could see, and I've never seen this before, but in the uh, in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you could see the momentum, which was on this side, the opposite side of the field. You could see it shift to this side, to the east side, where we were sitting in South Carolina State. So we get the fumble recovery. We score on the very next play. Jordan Smith runs it in for a touchdown. We kick the ball off to Prairie View. They go 3 and out. We get it back. We score again. We kick the ball off the Prairie View again. They go 3 and out. They kick it back to us. We score again. And you look up and the score is now 21-21. And my boy Stahl made a good point. He said, man, we have scored 21 straight in the third quarter, in one quarter, and there was still 5 minutes left. And so now you could tell, like, no longer was Prairie View riding high. They were feeling it. Like, you could tell, like, they were getting tense. Or as, if you follow me on Twitter, you know what I say. They went lemon booty. They went pure lemon booty. And it happens. It's just one of those things, like, and you could see the momentum just shift. And now all of a sudden, it's got to be tough for Prairie View, because in their minds, this game was all but won. And now you're in a dogfight. Now you have to come back, and now you're in a game. Now, to their credit, Prairie View comes right back and goes down the field and scores again. So now it's 28-21. But the Bulldogs kept fighting, and we come down and we score. So now it's 28-28. And, you know, I told my friends, like, somebody's got to flinch. Now, the whole time that this is going on, the first half, my wife, God bless her heart, she was sitting next to me, or she was sitting behind me, going crazy. She was just going crazy. She was just yelling and fussing at everybody who was making a mistake. And she was grabbing me by my shirt, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? I'm like, Sharice, I'm trying to. And it took everything in me not to be yelling at that game, because I know that, as excited as I can be, I need to try to at least preserve my voice, because there's been times where I've gone to games and lost my voice. And I didn't want that to happen. Because I wanted to tell you guys about what happened on this podcast. There wouldn't have been no podcast if I couldn't talk. But nonetheless, we go into the fourth quarter. We score again. They score. Score is tied 35. No, let me go back. They score, so they're up 35-28. And Ryan Stubblefield is balling out of control. Converting third downs. We must have converted at least 7 or 8 third downs. And probably what a lot of people don't remember was a huge play. I think it was maybe like 3 minutes left in the game, and we had a 4th and 15. And Ryan Stubblefield drops back to pass. He steps up in the pocket. Jordan Smith runs like a 17-yard route coming across the middle. As soon as he comes out of his break, he hits him in mid-stride, catches the pass. We convert the 4th down. We move on, and we eventually score. And so the game goes into overtime. And at this point, we're feeling good, but it's surreal, because we were just down 21-0, and that fumble changed everything. It changed everything. So you went from, it was just the range of emotions. You go from feeling like, I can't believe we're about to lose, and we're about to lose like this, to we're back in it, or we can win this thing. And I'll give those kids and the coaching staff and the support staff at South Carolina State a lot of credit, because they could have quit, and it would have been natural to quit. But there's no quit in those guys, and I love that and respect that about them. And so we go into overtime, and so at this point, I'm trying to keep it together, but I am a wreck. And the reason why I'm a wreck is because, like, I can't control anything at this point. The only thing I could do is cheer. It was different when you played because you always felt like you could help. As a 53-year-old fan, there's nothing you can do. I'm just an old alum. I'm an old head. But so we go into overtime, tied 35-35. I think they ended up kicking a field goal to take the lead because what happens is in overtime, both teams get a chance to score. And we held them on 3 plays. They kicked a field goal, made it, and then they held us on 3 plays, and then we went to kick a field goal. And what was interesting was our kicker, left-footed kicker, he on the field goal attempt, our left guard was kind of rocking a little bit in his stance. So they threw a flag for false start, but when the kicker went to kick the ball, the kick got blocked. So Prairie View is going crazy thinking that the game is over, but it's not over because the flag superseded the kick being blocked. And so now our kicker has to kick a 40-yard field goal because of the penalty. And my nerves were so shot, I didn't even watch the kick. I just waited to hear if our crowd was going to go crazy because our crowd, let's be honest, outnumbered Prairie View by quite a big margin. And so our crowd went crazy. So I knew he made the kick, and our kick is pretty good, right? And so we go into the second overtime. We get the ball, and I think Ryan Stubblefield drops back to pass. He throws a pass, and the receiver is being held. They didn't throw a flag, but the ball got picked off. They intercepted it. So at this point, all Prairie View has to do is either score a touchdown or kick a field goal, and they win. Prairie View didn't get anything on first down. They didn't get anything on second down. And so on third down, the ball was on the left hash. The quarterback takes the ball and runs to the middle of the field, or runs sideways so that he could be, and he takes a knee. And he takes a knee so that the ball can be in the middle of the field. Now, I'm going to share with you a little secret that I told quite a few people because I talked about it. I was talking with the homies as we were down on the field. Prairie View's kicker, I don't know his name. I think he's a freshman. God bless him. I watched him in pregame. During the pregame when they were warming up, he didn't make any kicks. And he looked real shaky the week before against Jackson State, but they won the game, right? He didn't make any kicks. The way pregame is set up, like you'll have your kicker kick from the 20-yard line, 25, 30, 35, so forth and so on. You move from hash to hash. And he didn't make any kick, at least not none that I saw. And I saw him kick quite a few. And I just kind of put that in the back of my mind. So again, but he's got this, the ball is lined up in the middle of the field. All he has to do is make a 31-yard field goal. Now, keep in mind, he had made one in overtime, but he missed a chip shot early in the game. And it hit off the upright. And so, again, if he makes this kick, the game is over, our season is over, it's done, ball game. I'll be honest, I had already made up in my mind that like he's gonna make this kick. I was telling myself it's okay, we got this far, we'll get it, we'll re-up and be back next year. And he's getting ready to kick and we call timeout to freeze him, right? And so they come back after commercial and he goes to kick the field goal. And again, I couldn't really, from where I was sitting, I couldn't tell if he made it or not. I just know that our fans in the end zone because he was kicking the ball into the section where our fans were sitting. All I saw was our fans going crazy. Our fans started jumping up and down, going crazy. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And then I looked down on the field and our players started going crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, he missed it. He missed it. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, we got another chance. And so after 2 overtimes in college football, you go into what they call the Texas shootout. And what that means is each team gets a chance to score again, but you have to go for 2 points. This is a 2-point conversion. So the ball, instead of getting 3 downs from the 25, the ball is placed on the 3-yard line, and you have to, you only get 1 play to score. And if you don't score, then the other team gets a chance. If the other team scores, then they win. So I think they went first in the third, will be the third overtime. Yeah, they went first. They went first, and I think they threw a pass and it was incomplete. Then it was our turn. We went, and we didn't score. And so then it was time for the fourth overtime. And so it's time for the fourth overtime, and I'm like, come on, man. This is the drama is here. I mean, there's no better drama than what we're experiencing. But it's also, again, at this point, my nerves are shot. Like, I'm bending over, I'm standing up, I'm feeling every bit of the emotion that comes with this. And so it's our ball. Quarterback Ryan Stubblefield drops back. He hits the running back Tyler Smith in the flats. Tyler Smith catches the ball as he's going into the end zone. A Prairie View defender comes up and hits him. He's going towards out of bounds. And as he's going out of bounds, Tyler Smith reaches for the pylon. And while the ball doesn't touch the pylon, he gravitates his body out of bounds, but it appears that he had scored. And so the ref throws up the hands, touchdown. We go crazy. Hold up. Or as Nate Dogg would say, hold up. An interesting plot happens here because it has to be reviewed, right? So as it's reviewed, it looks as if he may not have extended the ball over the pylon as he was being driven out of bounds, but his foot never hit out of bounds. And so they're running in what probably was about 5 minutes more than it needed to be. They're running it, and we're getting antsy because, like, they say it's a game of inches. To me, I thought he got in, and the call on the field was that he scored and that we would get 2 points. So every time that they're showing the replay, they're flashing back and showing players and coaches for Prairie View. Everybody's like, no, he didn't get it. And I think that period of time really allowed Prairie View to kind of get out of character, because I think they were really, really hoping that, he did not score. The referee came back from review and said, the ruling was upheld. And here's the thing that people have to understand. Again, I know it looked like he did not get it, but by rule, and this is a very funky rule, but it's a rule nonetheless. By rule, the pylon and the goal line don't stop where you see the pylon stops. So there's an invisible line that stretches to infinity. So when Tyler Smith got when he got the ball and he extended it out, while it did not cross over the pylon. So let's say the ball, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to use this. If this is the pylon here, Tyler Smith gets here and he extends it, but the ball passes the pylon and the goal line. So while the ball does not go over the pylon, it goes around the pylon, but it clears the goal line, and he levitates and does not touch the ground, which is really the key thing, because if his foot hits the ground, they'll probably rule him not as a scorer, that he did not score. So long story short, he scores and we go crazy, but we still know that Prairie View has another chance. So even we celebrated, but we don't have a lot of time to celebrate, because Prairie View has one more play, and they have to score. Quarterback drops, and their quarterback, Cameron Peters, shout out to that kid, man. That kid was phenomenal. I think he had like over 400 yards passing. I I don't know what his classification is. I don't know if he's going to be back in Prairie View next year. I hope not. Especially we got to see him again. But shout out to that young man. He balled. He was a baller. He drops back, does a little run out to the outside, and we stop him. And he threw the ball at somebody, but the ball fell on the ground. And we went crazy. We went berserk. Listen, the band was jamming. I was jamming. We were all jumping up and down, hugging, high-fiving. We were the Black College National Champions, much like we were in 1994 when I was at South Carolina State University. And so it felt good to win another national champion. Winning the conference is one thing, but winning the national championship, that means you're the best in Black college football, period. And I did that my junior year at South Carolina State University. And to see these kids do it here in the A under those circumstances and win a game 40-38 in sudden death is incredible. It was one of the best, one of the craziest games I've ever seen. The thing that I kept telling people, I kept saying, I got to see this game again because I'm not sure if I just saw what I just saw. And I literally, when I got home Sunday, I watched the game again because I wasn't sure if I saw what I indeed saw. As an alum, I was proud. I was happy for those kids, happy for Coach Chennis Berry. Again, he's coach of the year again, winning his first national championship with South Carolina State. Just happy for the school, happy for those kids. There's going to be some kids who will leave. There are going to be some kids who are going to graduate. But the thing about it is that once you're a champion, you're always a champion. Once you're a bulldog, you're always a bulldog. And a kid like Jordan Smith, who won the national championship his freshman year when we beat Jackson State, is now as a senior going out as a national champion again as a senior. I couldn't be happier for those kids. I'm happy for everybody, all the Bulldog alum. And then it was time to party. And party we did. I'll be honest, when that game ended, I was emotionally and physically drained. I really felt like I played in the game, and I ain't play a damn down. But I was happy. I was so happy, so elated with joy and pride and love, for my school and for, the university and just the football team and everything that it stood for. And so I still haven't grown tired of watching the videos and everything like that. But it was time to party. It was time to party. It was time to party. So we had tickets to Club Opium, the alumni party at Club Opium. I did not make it. Sharice went, but I was just tired. I was drained, man. I was drained. So I caught the train back to the hotel. I chilled in the room for a little bit, got something to eat, took a nap, and she told me that the party was live with her. I saw some videos. It looked live, real live. But I just couldn't do it. I had to kind of recharge my battery. And then there was another alumni party at the Hyatt Saturday night. So by the time she got in from that party, I guess she got in probably about 8. And then we went to the party at the Hyatt at like 10. And that party was jumping too. I mean, we were in this big ballroom at the Hyatt. Saw all my friends, saw my homegirl, Crystal, one of my best friends from college. And I was surprised because I didn't think Crystal was coming. But it was good seeing her, and all of my boys were there, my teammates and stuff. Good seeing them always. And we had a good time. We partied and we partied and we partied. My brother was there, his wife, my sister-in-law. They're all also alums as well. So yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time. Came back to the room. I don't know. We got in probably about 1, and the party was still jumping when I left. Again, when you, as I mentioned on previous episodes, when your social battery's done, it's just done. Like you got to take it on in. But we got up the next, went to bed, got up the next morning, checked out of the hotel, came back home. And it was just a phenomenal week. So I got to ask you one more time, who had a better week than me? The answer, nobody. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes weekly. Also, check out our baby. The new baby is called the Rap Soul Podcast. It's a music podcast where we talk about music and artists from the 80s, the 90s, and 2000s when it comes to rap, soul, hip-hop, and R&B. Again, it's the best music podcast that you've never heard, so make sure that you check it out. Also, if you're into merch, check out the 12 Kyle Podcast merch. Just click the link in the description box. There you can buy 12 Kyle Podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got it for the low. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle Podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I will catch you guys next time. 5,000. Go Bulldogs.